recording?
We want you to also drive those discussions. So right now we are suggesting the topic, which is panel edit, but we are super happy to use those calls to discuss any other themes or features you would like to have a UX discussion around. There's always the same URL for the meeting, and you can subscribe to our calendar for updates. And this this presentation will be available in the public UX community call document. Before we start, is there something anyone would like to ask about? Okay, I'll take this as a no.
I have a question. Who are you, Diana? And what do you do with Grafana Labs?
I'm about to say, thank you for this question. So my name is Diana. I'm one of the UX designers at Grafana. You can see everyone here on the screen, but some of us are actually here. So maybe we can all introduce in person. So David, you're the first one on the list.
Sure, yeah. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Cool, yeah. I'm David. I joined Grafana about 2 years ago, and I'm the director of UX, and I've built out the UX team with Diana's help as a sort of small in-house consultancy. And I think it's we can call it a success. They've been embedding themselves into little feature teams and delivering small to large features, like especially now for Grafana 7. Super happy with how it's going. And yeah, I guess over to you, Jess.
Yeah, like David and Diana already hinted at, I am part of the Grafana UX team and work on all kinds of stuff, be it features, be it branding questions, be it sign-up flows for the website, anything that the UX can be improved on. Over to you, Lucas.
So hello, my name is Lucas. I joined last month, so probably on this call I'm the least experienced person with Grafana, and I do much less stuff than David and Jess and Diana, but I try to do more and more with each month. So do we have Patrick or Song on the call? I think not, so probably back to you, Diana.
Yeah, thank you. So Patrick and Song are not here today, but they also contributed to what you will see for the new panel edit. So it was a truly a team's effort. So with, sorry, something got stuck. So before we jump to the panel edit topic, we just would love for you to know that you can easily reach us if there's something you would like to discuss, give feedback on, or maybe Grafana isn't working the way you would expect it to work. You can reach out to us at the public Grafana Slack. We're the most active in Grafana Fails channel. So if there's anything that you would like to share, you can post it there. You can write to ux@grafana.com. If you would like to be part of future research, just reach us and we will get involved with whatever you would like to discuss or be a part of.
Yes, and Grafana Fails is not about you failing, but about Grafana failing you. So please tell us when that happens.
Exactly. Yeah. So when it comes to today, we have 2 short announcements. We will show you a new panel edit and the whole story behind it. And we're hoping for a discussion around this and also your feedback. And as the very last thing today, we will share some features and projects that we plan to work on, and we'll let you know how you can get involved if you're interested. Also, on that note, if you have some questions that you would like us to answer, you can either ask this or write on the chat on Zoom, and Jess, David, or Łukasz will take a look and make sure we answer all the questions as we go. Okay, so short announcements. the most important one, probably, Grafana 7.0 is available for beta. So if you want to, you can download it and see what's new. Also, Grafanacon will happen online this year. We have a lot of great speakers. Well, I managed to fit 7 of them, but there's way more than what you see on the screen. But if you would like to take part in it, just register on Grafana Con online page. It will be all available in this presentation. And also, if any of you would like to take notes, Jess, could you share a link to the document in the chat? Because I can't open it.
Yes, I will do it.
Okay, then Jess will share the link to the document. Okay, so new panel edit, which is the topic for today. We want to show you 2 things and 2 dimensions of new panel edit. So one is new layout and more user-friendly panel edit that is more intuitive, helps you in your work, makes your workflow more seamless. The other part of what we want to show, and that is a part that Dominic will show you and elaborate on, are some new features that hopefully will streamline the experience between different types of visualizations that you may work with. So how it all started, basically there were a couple of things that we knew for quite some time. So first of all, the current wide full width visualization layout was really hard when it comes to presenting options in a scannable way. There was a lot of empty or wasted space. There was some confusion behind panel level and dashboard level options. We knew that the icons that are main navigation on the left-hand side are not very intuitive, and a lot of kind of very basic options when you think about it, like title or description, were hidden quite deeply. So that was something that we already knew, and based on that, we started with something we can call our first educated guess. So based on this knowledge, we built, and actually that was Patrick, who is not here today, he built a concept for a new panel edit. And as you can see, it's not very detailed concept. Basically, the only thing it shows is that some of the options will be in the sidebar, some of the like more query related things will be at the bottom pane, and that was basically it. We took this and we went to talk to some of you. So we ran research in several rounds. We have run 17 interviews. We talked to both our clients who are using paid version of Grafana, also our users who are using open source. We had 2 rounds of research. So first round of research was more related to the first and initial concept, whether we're thinking about those changes in the right way, whether we're paying attention to everything that we should pay attention to. And then the second round of research was actually fine-tuning and answering some questions that appeared more down the line. During all this research, we have gathered almost 300 observations. That is everything you told us that is currently not working in the panel edit, how you would like panel edit to work, and also your direct feedback to the concept that we showed. So just to show you the process in a nutshell, it was a very intense half a year of work. So we started with the initial concept that Patrick created. We took it for a ride to get your feedback. We summarized findings and started thinking about design decisions that we have to make going forward. Based on that, we have revised the concept and then decided to talk to you again to get some more detailed answers to some not so trivial questions. And what we will show you today is the very final version that went through those, this process. Just to show you a couple of findings. this is not everything we found out, but I think these are the findings that are most crucial for us. So first finding was that creating panels for first-time users is really overwhelming. And it's not only because they often have to learn about Grafana so much, but they also have to find out about different types of visualizations, how they work, what some of the things mean. The other thing was that we had 2 entry points for creating a panel. And you could either start with query or you could start with the visualization type. And that was very confusing for users. So they were wondering whether if I start with visualization, will I have different options available than if I start with query, and the other way around? On top of that, we found out that the people we talked to were saying that 80% of visualization types that they're using is graph. And that rarely changes. So, and in addition to that, in whatever workflow people were describing to us, query always was before visualization type. So it no longer made sense to keep 2 entry points. And I think one of the findings that was, at least for me, incredibly important was something that before this research I didn't really thought about that much, was that creating and editing panels are 2 different workflows. They happen through the same screen, but they are distinctive workflows with own challenges and own pain points. And creating a panel from scratch is not the same as trying to edit panel after 6 months or a year and trying to figure out what was done then, what was changed, how it was changed. So we have to start looking also at not only creating a panel from scratch, but as how we can make it easier to edit panel and actually find out what happened to this panel along the way. So we got, apart from those findings, we got some general feedback, like general response that it was great direction, we should keep going with it. There was also feedback on stuff that is not really surprising, that the labeling and descriptions have to be better. There's some improvements into the workflow that we can introduce, but the main gain, which is being able to work on a query and the visualization at the same time, was the biggest advantage. Yeah, so this part was hopefully a brief part about the research. Do you have any questions or thoughts? Okay, I know some of you are part of this research, but if you would like to ask us about something specific to the research that I haven't mentioned, just write in chat and we'll try to answer this. Yeah, so based on this research, we formulated design principles, and design principles were the principles against which we would evaluate our designs and the prototypes. So there were 4 of those. One was make obvious what's possible. So a lot of people that we've talked to were surprised that, you can edit axis or legend, and I haven't noticed that before. So it was very important for us to make it obvious and easy to discover what you can manipulate. And on that note, if you can manipulate something and it was manipulated, that we should show that this particular config option was changed, whereas some other were untouched. There's some of the things in the panel edit require breaking flows and going outside of panel edit to change, variables being one of those. And with the current version, we're aware that we are not able to fully address this, but we're trying to put at least some quick links that allow users to make the workflow a bit more seamless. And as I mentioned, we wanted to put, like always look from those 2 perspectives. So creating panel from scratch and editing panel after a half a year or a year. So all in all, the initial research answered a lot of questions, but when it came to details, we ended up having even more questions. So we actually called you again and talk to you about where we should put variables, whether they should be in a separate tab, whether they should be in a sidebar or at the top of the visualization. We asked you about placement of the visualization type picker, whether it should be at the bottom of the visualization like it is right now, whether it should be in the sidebar, and if in the sidebar, whether it should have a separate tab or not. And on top of that, we spent some time working with this change indicator. So if some section was changed, how we can present this? How can we make it obvious for users that this particular field was changed, and either by users or overridden by a data source? So we asked you which type of change indicator would work best for you, whether it's a dot, whether it's an icon that specifically shows what's the source of the change. We also had some lines. So we went through a lot of possibilities to actually find things that are the most obvious and the most intuitive for you. And with that, we've landed on the new layout and the new way of presenting information and options in the panel edit. So you can see that everything related to manipulating visualization and the display options is in the sidebar. All the things here are collapsible. We have a change indicator that shows that something in this particular section was changed, but also we show this on a level of a single option. Also, one of the people that I talked to suggested that having link to a documentation in a context would be a great help. So it is possible now to show for us links to documents on a level of section or a single configuration option. We have also new options when it comes to showing this visualization render here. So we can have fill, fit, or exact. And let me show you how it works. So right now, if we choose fill, it fills all the available space. If we choose fit, it will keep the aspect ratio, but will keep it will keep the aspect ratio regardless of the size of the screen, and exact is the exact size it would be. Oh, something is not working. Exact shows how it would be shown on a dashboard, and I think I just found a bug. And as I mentioned, you can toggle all the options that are available over here. We have some new panel visualization type of icons that Song designs, was sadly not here now. We have introduced some changes to options that are available. They are available next to the data source. Yeah. Do you have any questions about those? Thoughts, comments, feedback? You like it, you hate it? Anything is fine, really.
I can give you a comment, Diana. Actually, the exact works as expected. You're basically on a too small screen to see it working, because this particular panel is like super wide on the dashboard. Okay. So if you resize it to a small one, then you could see the exact size. I mean, if you resize the panel on the dashboard, not the,
yeah, okay.
not the window itself.
Yeah, that's something that you didn't mention, Diana, that the aspect ratio for fit or the size for exact relates to the size of the panel on the dashboard.
Yes, that's very true. Okay, is there anything you particularly like with the new design? Something that grasps your attention?
So I had a problem the other day when I tried this, where the when I wanted to edit a panel and it had a certain visualization type already, when I switched to the panel visualization thing that showed all the icons, the selected one was all the way down, and for me that was a bit annoying. Like, for example, I was looking at the logs panel, and logs is all the way down, and
it may be a common case for you then. Yeah.
And but it was, I was trying to kind of switch between a couple of things, and I wasn't really sure. Like what was selected. No, the main problem was there was a display error and the panel was empty because the query was wrong, and I had no means of telling what the panel type was because the panel was empty, and then so I went to the visualization tab here to that panel thing, and I had to scroll, and I had to, first of all, because we changed everything, I didn't really know how to tell which was selected. So maybe the selection is a tiny bit too subtle. And then I had to just kind of like scroll a bit to see which one was actually selected. But that was a tiny bit too burdensome. If we could make that a bit easier to kind of clearly say somewhere what the current panel type is.
Okay, great. That's noted. Does anyone else? Thank you, David. That's really great feedback. I think we even discussed this a bit at some point, that we're discussing idea on how to show what is actually, which visualization type is actually chosen. Let me check Slack because I can see that something will pop in the Grafana files in a second. Okay. Does anyone else have any feedback or thoughts?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So the visualizations part of this is exposed to the community plugins. So is all this compatible with all the older community plugins, or do those need to be updated to work with this new layout?
Dominic?
I think you need to repeat the question if you understood it. Jacob, if you have a mixer, can you up your sound level a little bit? Did anyone catch it?
I did. So the question was if the old plugins, community plugins, will work with the new architecture / new layouts / APIs. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So the question is yes. We have introduced some changes to the APIs that will basically. Sorry, wrong button. We have introduced some changes to the API, of course, for the plugin engineers to kind of make it easier to integrate with the new functionalities. But there is one thing that we need to remember is that a lot of our plugins, community plugins, are implemented in our old architecture, which is based on AngularJS, and we don't expose new components to the AngularJS plugins because we want people to to implement the plugins, the plugins, and migrate the plugins to the new architecture. So if Diana, if you don't mind switching to, for instance, the actually Graph Panel is a good example. If you go to the Graph Panel one more time to the edit mode, and if you close the panel type pane and open the display settings, for instance, or access, oh yeah, exactly, this is okay. So as you can see, Jacob, the layout over here, it doesn't look great. And that's because this is an Angular panel. And this means that it uses Angular components, and those are not 100% compatible design language-wise with the new design language that we are introducing with Grafana 7.0. So a lot of legacy plugins, or a lot of basic, maybe not legacy, the wrong word, but a lot of community plugins will unfortunately look not 100% integrated with this new design language, and that's just because of the fact that they are using the old architecture. But all of the plugins that are going to be migrated or implemented in React, those are gonna be basically seamlessly integrated with the new design language. And later on, I'm gonna show you a demo of a couple of new features, and I can also pinpoint how it looks like with the new design language. Sorry for a long answer.
I can also just try to chime in. I'm testing community plugins at the moment. So most of them look okay. The problem that they might have is they are too wide. So say the display tab here, for example, if you have a drop down, which is much wider, that you get some sort of horizontal toolbars, and it looks a bit weird. That's the biggest issue so far.
Yeah, that's right, Daniel. Thanks for saying that.
Let me, so Mario was able to share. Can you see Slack?
Yep.
All right. So as you can see, what was confusing? Can you describe it, Mario, again? Yeah, so by default, the width of the sidebar caused the drop-down to appear instead of tabs. And it was a bit confusing because, yeah, that actually happened to me as well when I think Diana actually noticed that, and we're well aware of this, and this is something that we want to fix. So as long as we will be able to show tabs, we will be showing tabs, and this drop down will be only kind of a last resort. But I fully agree that that's confusing. Does anyone else has feedback? All right. Okay, some new icons that you already got a glimpse of. Song design, all new icons for panel edit in 7.0. I hope you love them as much as we do. It was also a bit of a journey for us. Yeah, we answered, I think, this part of questions. So unless there's any last minute questions, then Dominic can demo a couple of new features that should also improve your workflow and help a bit in panel edit.
Absolutely. I'm going to introduce myself as everyone from the UX team did. I'm a software engineer working in the front-end platform team, and together with the team and Diana and Jess and Patrick, we worked on the new panel edit experience for 7.0. But apart from that, we also worked on a couple of other features, which are very closely coupled with the new panel edit experience. those are quite advanced features, so I'm gonna try to explain those as simple as possible. So feel free to like disturb me and ask any questions while I speak. It's no problem. So two features that I'm gonna show you are field configurations and the field overrides, which basically are aimed to unify the way panels are configured, especially the panel data display options. And the other feature is called transformations, and transformations are basically a way for people manipulating the data to actually filter, rename, reorganize the data in the client application without the need for writing additional queries, or basically writing additional queries, querying the databases. So let me share my screen. Again, I need to find the button over here. Cool. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Just to give you a quick impression on how the old edit mode looked like, this is what it was before. A couple of tabs on the left, Diana showed that before. And now the new edit mode looks pretty much like this. So there's quite a first huge visible change that we made. I can't recall if you mentioned that, Diana, but there is one thing that is, I think it's worth mentioning about the visual architecture of this new panel edit mode, is that we kind of divided it into three distinct sections. The section over here that you can see with the table is basically a preview section where your visualization is kind of available for a preview. Then at the bottom pane is data related section. So everything that relates to querying data, transforming data, alerting based on the data, it belongs to this bottom pane. And the right pane is all about the visualization settings, the visualization settings per se. And by visualization settings, I mean like general visualization settings, like, for instance, whether a graph should be shown as a line graph or as a bar chart, but also a fine-grained visualization settings, like how a single particular value on the visualization should be processed or shown to the consumer, basically. Sorry, what was that? Any questions, or was it a kid talking? Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna continue. Cool. So the first, I'm gonna present that on the based on the table panel, since it's easiest way to kind of show the data and see the visible changes like straight away. So in this table, I have some data from multiple sensors showing the temperature, humidity, and the pressure. I'm not sure if this data is correct or not. It's like completely random data, so hope you don't mind. So the first thing that I wanted to show you is what we called a field options. And by field options, we mean every single column in this table that you see is something that we call a field, basically. So for every single column, you can set particular set of options. And we have Grafana comes built in with set of standard field options that are available. Those are options like unit, like number of the decimals to show, the title field, the title name of a particular column, etc. So given these options, we can, for instance, say that, hey, I want the data to be displayed in a Celsius, right? So I can set my unit to be Celsius. And as you can see right now, all of the data that in the table has Celsius unit applied. But of course, this is wrong because the humidity and the pressure is not something that you express in the Celsius. So we have introduced, we have another concept related to that, which is called field options overrides, which allow you to specifically target set of fields or subset of the fields available in the visualization and apply like a different options to those. So for instance, I can say that the humidity field needs to be expressed in like humidity units. So I target the humidity column and I select that I want to change the unit of that column. And I can say that this particular column is going to be expressed with this units. And same with the pressure. I can add another override, filter another field. This time it's going to be a pressure, and I'm going to apply unit that's basically expressed in hectopascals. So these are the very basic settings that we can set, what we call the standard options. But apart from the standard options, the plugin developers can also support what we call custom field options. So this is the React-based table panel built into Grafana. It's a new table panel introduced in 7.0, like completely rewritten compared to the previous versions. And right now, those couple of those custom field options are available for this panel. So, for instance, I can say that I want the temperature cells to be actually displayed with a background color, right? But again, the field options apply to all of the fields. So again, I need to create an override that will target this specific column. And for this case, it's going to be a temperature. And I'm going to say that cell display mode. Cell display mode is a custom table option. And I can say that it's going to be, the background's going to be in a color. And as you can see, the colors are different over here because I have specified previously a threshold. So basically the base threshold is in this color. I need to, yeah, it's orange. And everything above 40 is going to be rendered as red. And all those, all these features, like this feature, field options and the field override, standardizes settings like thresholds, the ones that I mentioned before, the standard ones, unit, minimax, decimals. But apart from the standard ones, it also allows to customize the thresholds, value mappings, and the data links. For those of you who are not familiar with data links, it's basically a way for the users of Grafana to like create dynamic links that you can link, for instance, with external services, like for instance, services that that you use for digging through logs. So these are fields and the field options overrides. Any questions so far? Okay.
Can you add multiple data links?
Sorry?
Are you able to add multiple different data links to one table?
Actually, I think you still can, but we want to limit that to a single one because it doesn't really make sense in a table panel, right? Because if you have like two links in a table, it's still rendered as a single link. So this is something that we're gonna fix for stable version. But excellent question. But if you want to target like that the temperature and the humidity and the pressure, that those basically link to different services, you can use the overrides to do that. So let's assume that like currently okay, let's say that the humidity needs to be linked to, like, I don't know, some one page, you can create an override with the data links and create a specific data link for humidity. I'm not gonna be very, yeah. So humidity now links to humidity, and the pressure can link to pressure, like this. So those two columns link to a different services now, can link to different services. So that's why the field, I mean, this is one of the reasons why the field options overrides are quite a powerful feature.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
No worries. Any more questions about the field options and the field overrides? Okay, then let's jump on some other new feature that we are introducing with 7.0. And it's the feature called transformations. And this feature, as I mentioned before, is strictly related to the data itself that's available in the panel. So it's located in the bottom pane of the new panel editor experience, and it's located as a next step or a tab next to the queries tab. So there is like quite a natural. It's a result of the placement of the transformations is actually kind of a natural. It reflects the natural process of how you work with your data. So first you want to query your data so that they're available in the panel. But then if your specific queries return a data that is like, I don't know, somehow incomplete or incomplete in a way, like they're missing some math operations that are not available in your data source, we're introducing the transformations that allow you to do that to some extent. So if you go to the transformations tab, you have some transformations available like straight away. We started the design process with like a very small add transformation button, but we quickly realized during the feedback sessions that we run every week that, hey, this is not gonna work because people don't know what the transformations are and like what transformations are available for them. So thanks, Lucas, for the feedback. This is the actual implementation of it. So right now we have all of the available transformations presented for the users when they haven't created any so far. So there are a couple of the transformations available, but let's start with like a simple one, which is called filter by name. Filter by name is basically let's imagine that you have this table that consists of 4 fields: time, temperature, humidity, and pressure. And in your visualization, you want to only show time, temperature, and humidity. So what you can do here is you can basically click on the pressure, and without making any new queries, the data is displayed without the pressure. So this is a very simple one, right? But then we have more advanced one, like for instance, change order, hide, and rename, previously called organize, but the change order, hide, and rename is more is a better name. So as the name suggests, you can first change the order of the columns. So let's say that the humidity gonna be first, and then you're gonna have a temperature and time. And again, this is done without any queries to the data source. And you can also rename the columns to something more meaningful, like capital time, capital T time. It's definitely more meaningful. Sorry. Yeah. So this is more advanced one. But then we have even more advanced. I think it was introduced this morning or later yesterday, which is add field from calculation. And this is something that basically fills the gaps that for some data sources that cannot do math operations. So what you can do here, for instance, you can have a binary operation that creates a new field, like a dynamic field, which is a result of a math operation between any other fields in your data. So for instance, in this case, we can select that we want a sum. It doesn't make sense at all, but we want a sum of humidity and the temperature, and this creates a new field, which is basically a sum of those two. Did it sum correctly? Yes, it did. Yeah, so the transformations are still in a beta. It's like an early stage concept, but we decided to put it into 7.0 to get as much feedback as possible. Yeah, and pretty much that's it. That's it. What I wanted to show you. If you have any questions now, then feel free to ask.
Any questions about transformations, how they work?
Oh yeah, and we have this fancy debug mode that you can see what was the input data and the output data of your transformations. It's not that fancy, but it's useful, I hope.
So does any of you see this feature as particularly handy for you? Does it change much for you?
Oh, well, maybe has anyone tried this already?
Yeah. Okay, if you get a chance to play with it a bit, feel free to get in touch and give us feedback. We'll be super happy to get your thoughts on it. Meanwhile, I just note there is a comment. Love the feature. Okay, great, Jacob. If you get a chance to try it out and you have any comments how to improve it and how it can be even better, then just reach out and let us know.
Yeah, Jacob, we are aware that the transformations are kind of at least in the beta version of 7.0, they're quite buggy still, unfortunately. And we are making our best to actually squash as many bugs as possible before the stable release. So if I may have a suggestion for you, if you're gonna try those, then it's the best way to start with those is to start with the table panel, because then you can see like straight away what happened to your data. And if you're, as Dana mentioned, if you are confused with any of the options that are available in the transformations, reach out to us on Slack and let's talk about it, how to make it better. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing now. Thanks a lot.
There's a bit more feedback in the Grafana Face channel. So one is to be able to name overrides, because you end up with having overrides 1, 2, 3. So thank you for that, Mario. That is something that we've also discussed, and I think we need to revisit. And also Jamie mentioned that it would be good to be able to collapse and expand all the sections in the sidebar. So we'll take this into account as well.
Sorry, does it mean like collapse and expand all of the sections at once? Okay.
Is there anything you would like to discuss regarding the panel edit in any way?
How long is, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
How long are the transform code exists? Is it like after you make that change it stays, or do you is there a recovery point that you can do for it? Just curious on, is there a way for you to be able to revert back if you made a change and you want to recover it?
So just to make sure we get this right, Adele. So you would like to,
like if you found a bug in the transform, is there a way that you can just copy that code out and revert it back to what it was prior to that?
You can delete any transformation you want.
Okay.
But wait, are you asking if we, like, from the development side, we have a way of doing that, or if you as a user of the transformations have a way to do that?
A user.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. You can always delete the transformation, as Diana mentioned. We also plan for the future. We also plan to be able to allow to reorganize the transformations in a like more, I don't know, you experiment with those and the transformation pipeline, because the transformations are applied one after another, right? So the order here is important, because result of every single transformation is passed to the next one. So we also want to introduce an ability to reorganize those if it happened that you created those in a wrong order, for instance, and you don't want to create everything from scratch.
Is
Dominic?
there a way? Oh, sorry.
Dominic, this sounds like a great opportunity to show the new troubleshooting panel inspect option.
Sure, if we have time.
Okay, just a suggestion. And if you guys we don't have time, anybody who's doing it, click on a panel title and then click inspect. It's a nifty new feature that we've added in 7.0. It'll help you troubleshoot and stuff.
How much time do we have, Diana Selinska?
Yeah, I think we can stay longer. I mean, I can stay for sure. We can continue. That's no problem.
I mean, I can quickly show what we are talking about with Diana P.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, actually, this is one of the most important features of Grafana 7.0. Can you see my screen back again?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So the feature that Diana mentioned is called Panel Inspect, and it basically is aimed to help you troubleshoot the data that came into your panel from the queries. So from the panel menu, I'm not sure if everyone is familiar with the panel menu already or not, but it's the menu available when you click on the panel title. We have added this new option called Inspect. And what Inspect does, it opens a drawer on the right-hand side of the screen that displays you the raw data with applied transformations. So basically, it's like a tabular data. It's actually, I'm gonna show it on, yeah, maybe on this panel, because that one is, yeah, there you go. So it's like a regular table that displays the data in a like a raw format with transformations applied, that kind of summarize that allows you to debug whether the data in the graph is actually a correct one or not. And of course, a really important addition here is that you can actually download the data in a CSV format. This panel is also available from the edit mode, and I'm going to the edit mode on purpose because I'm going to add a new query now. So this panel now has 2 queries in it, right? So when I inspect the panel now, these 2 options appear at the top, which basically are simplified transformations. So having those 2 series, I can join them by time and download the CSV of those 2 series joined by time, which is super useful. Going forward with the inspect panel, we also have like a stats tab, which shows you some performance overview of your queries. As you can see, these are not very like a deep metrics, but we're gonna work on like improving those to have some more details about how much time did it take to actually render the visualization, how much time did it take to apply transformations, etc. But this is on our roadmap. Another tab over here it's called Json, and it basically is useful especially for people who are working with the provisioning or want to dig deeper into what's the underlying model of the panel. So the panel JSON is something that we is something that represents a panel in our like a dashboard model, basically. So all of the properties are available here, and those basically describe your entire panel. There is also a panel data, which is basically a response from the data that was processed and passed to the panel, but it's displayed in a kind of a raw JSON form. And last but not least is the data frame structure. I'm not gonna go deep into what data frame is. It's basically a data model that we use to work with data under the hood. And you can inspect that model over here. And the very last tab is called query. It's a query inspector. Basically, it allows you to see what was the actual request and response sent to the backend in order to perform the query that you have created in your query editor. You need to click refresh over here because this will trigger the new queries in order to collect the data. And I'm not gonna do that now just because I'm on a test data source, so I will get no results. So yeah, this is the inspect mode, the inspect panel that you can play with in the latest beta. Any questions? Diana, you're muted.
As always. Yeah, there are some questions in the chat, Dominic. I think that's especially for you.
Okay, so the first question is from Jacob. Any plans to add support for transformations to Grafanacon? None that I know of. And then is there a question from Jacob Wilson? No, I can't see any. Any questions on Slack? Let's see, Grafana face, right?
Yep.
Okay. Are there any plans to store some of the stats around query load times, etc., so we can monitor the monitor? Having accessible via dashboard is a great improvement, but I would love to be able to view it over time so I can see the impact of the changes I make to my dashboards and data sources. I haven't heard anything about such features. Daniel, are you still with us?
I think not.
David, maybe
you might be captured in the Grafana metric if you enable that in your config. I'm not positive.
You mean the meta analytics?
No, I mean in the Grafana configuration, you can actually enable Grafana to send data about itself to the metrics endpoint, and you might be able to find it there. I'm not positive though.
But Jamie, we haven't had any plans about integrating that into the inspect tab, but that's actually a great idea. It sounds like something that might be super useful. But Diana, you're right that probably the metrics that we collect from the Grafana itself might be something that you can track the progress or track the changes that you've made to your queries with. But I'm not sure. I can get back with that question with the answer to you, Jamie, when I gather some more information.
Right. Anyone else? Any questions, thoughts? Something pressing?
What about the question by Mario on filter by name in the override?
Yeah. So
was it?
It's just above Jamie's question in the Slack channel.
The Slack channel, Mario. Okie doke. When adding an override, the only option is filter by name. Do you plan to add more options there? Yes, we do, but we just couldn't squeeze that into 7.0. But we do have plans to add some more options there. One of the, like a super, I mean, maybe not super quick, but quite easy thing that we could do to improve there, and we plan to do, is to enable regular expressions in the filter by name, because currently you can only select from the options that are available there. But we plan to add pretty much the same thing that we added to the transformations, that the filter by name can also accept regular expressions. So you can expect that fairly soon, probably not in 7.0 stable. If we're gonna do the point release, maybe that's gonna be introduced in some of the point releases. But other than that, I think that 7.1 might be like a reasonable estimate for some new override filters, what we call matchers.
some other questions or thoughts? Okay, it's been over an hour. So before I'll thank you all for joining, I would love to ask you, because this is our first community call and we experiment a bit with the format and the way we run this discussion. What can we do better next time? And just be honest, we're super happy to know how to make this even more exciting for you and useful.
To improve the UX of this call, as it were.
Yes, inception, but yes, it's important to know what we can do better. Anyone? Or maybe some topics you would like to see us tackle next time?
And quite honestly, be bold, like now's the time.
Yeah.
I mean, next call is also the time, but anything, literally anything you want to be talking about, anything you want to see on the agenda, anything, even if you think it's a stupid question, most likely it's not a stupid question. Just go ahead. Be bold. We don't bite. Promise.
Exactly. I totally resonate with what Richie said.
We also don't cry if the feedback is harsh. So
we only do in the pillows.
Because if somebody says, oh, they have all these errors in the docs, it's like, oh, they read the docs. And if you say, oh, I'm having trouble with this feature, oh, they're using the feature and they have thoughts about it. So please let us know. We love feedback.
Is there something that we should do more or less next time? Okay, I guess those crickets mean that for now.
I've got something. I think it'd be good if the presentations are a tiny bit shorter. I think they were a bit long. And I do like it when we read out kind of like what problems people have. So maybe from the fails channel, if we collect some historic ones, maybe that'd be cool.
Cool, thank you.
Also a good one if your coworkers or you or whoever experience any issues until the next call, you're more than welcome to take this to here. I mean, you can also file an issue and such, or maybe you filed an issue like half a year ago or even 2 years ago, and you still really care about it, but no one really had a look at it. This call is also meant for that, to have an actual conversation about stuff. Like whatever you can think of, and it's even loosely related to UX, just bring it here. And we are more than happy to give it its 5, 10, or maybe 50 minutes.
So if you have any ideas for future topics, then just feel free to suggest. And yeah, we'll prepare a call around this topic or a feature, and we'll discuss everything you want about it. Thank you, Jamie. Really happy that you liked the part about the journey. All right. Okay. Also, if the feedback for this session comes to you later today or tomorrow, then also post on Grafana fails. We'll take it to our hearts and hopefully make even better the next UX community call. Thank you, Adele. Yeah, I guess one final announcement is that we will be running a bit more research around onboarding, around Locky and scrolling logs, around, did I say onboarding? Probably said them. There was, sorry, one more thing on my list. Yeah, then just let us know if you want to be a part of this. Okay, thank you, everyone. Have a great day or evening, depending where you are, and hopefully see you next month.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Diana.
Thank you.